Um, the Farm Bill wasn't everything I wanted, and if I'd have had my way, if I'd have been chairman, it would have been different, but I wasn't. And so my job was to help the Republicans get the bill done, which was not easy. They were in their own way most of the time, but we finally, at the end of the day, got the thing done after the election, and they were agreed to drop the food stamp stuff, which was what was holding it up. And I keep hearing this out in farm country that, well, why don't we just get the food stamps out of the Farm Bill? Well, I'll tell you what, if you don't ever want to have another Farm Bill, and if you don't want to have a farm program that works, that's the way to accomplish it. Because 90% of the people in this country have no agriculture, have no understanding of it, and what most of them care about are food stamps and school lunch and WIC and that kind of stuff. That's just how it is. And so this is what we have to do in order to be able to put a coalition together to, to get things done. And I told the chairman, Conaway, back in June, I said, there are problems in food stamps that need to be fixed. And if you will work on the problems, instead of creating new problems, I will help you. But they did not listen to me, and they went off in the other direction, and they were going to create this work requirements, which we already have. We've had work requirements since 1996. The problem is we haven't enforced them, and we've had a waiver for 75% of the country, and there's other problems, and they won't. So they wanted to take a system that was not, working because of all these waivers, and they wanted to add more work requirements. It just, anyway, at the end of the day, they dropped it, and, they accomplished something for me within my caucus in the House that I've not been able to do in my whole career in the Congress, and that is they made me a hero with liberal Democrats. So when I came in and announced that we had won on food stamps, I got a standing ovation. And I got hugged by Maxine Waters and some of these other people. But that's what you have to do. So because of that, they didn't even ask us any question about the farm programs. Once that's taken care of, then I can do the farm programs the way it needs to be done. So that's how it works. Maybe it shouldn't be that way, but that's how it is. And so anyway, we got the bill done. I would have preferred if we could have put some of the money into better target prices, into higher target rates. But it costs money, and most of the money was going into the ARC, which has been pushed by the Iowa farmers, and they've got quite a bit of clout, especially in the Senate. So we could not do what I wanted to do, and that was to get rid of the ARC and just put the money into PLC so that we had like a $4 target price for corn, maybe $10 for soybeans. So we had a safety net that was realistic compared, what we have is better than nothing, but it's when you get down to the prices of the target prices, you're in a range of not making a whole lot of money, we'll see what happens. So now we've got a lot of other things that have been thrown into the mix that have kind of upset the apple cart. The African swine fever was probably the biggest reason that these prices, especially for soybeans, went down, because the demand for soybeans and soybean meal, went down because China, we're not exactly sure, but we think about 70% of the hogs in China have died at this point, and China has 55% of the hogs in the world, just in their country, and so this is a big hit to the feed market. And then when you added on top of that these trade problems that were created, Brazil has been filling in some of this demand in China that we would have had if we wouldn't have had these tariffs on soybeans and so forth. So we've had some issues there that are holding the market back, and I don't really see that coming back anytime soon. We've disrupted these markets, and we've spent a lot of time, a lot of money trying to develop these markets, and you know, it's going to take us a while to sort out of this. And the Secretary, you know, would not disagree with me on that we probably got low prices looking at us for the next 2-3 years, according to the forecast. The administration's answer to this has been to take the CCC and use the authority that's in the CCC to make these market facilitation payments. And we have spent about $30 billion over the last 2 years that the Secretary took out of the CCC, and that's legal. It says in there that you can use the CCC to support production agriculture. In the past, we have used it mostly to buy surplus products off the market, like cheese and other things that we had too much of. We would use the CCC to buy it off, or maybe buy some things off the market to try to raise the prices. This is the first time it's ever been used for direct payments to producers. And of course, the first year, they used it on bushels, and they got a lot of criticism because soybeans were $1.65 and corn was a penny bushel, and wheat was 16 cents or whatever. So then they changed it in 19 to convert it into an acreage situation, and they used what they thought was the impact on the different commodities to come up with these amounts. And Rob Johannesson, the economist at USDA, he spent two hours one day in my office trying to explain to me how this works. I have to tell you, I still don't understand it, but anyway, they came up with this per acre deal, and you know, I don't know, up here it's about 50 bucks, 40 some bucks an acre, right? 54? Yeah. And there's some places it's, you know, lower than that. It's in the 40s. The highest one was Hubbard County, which I still don't understand how they got the highest number of any of these counties around here. It just doesn't, that's what doesn't make any sense. But my buddies in Stearns County, which is down in the southeastern part of my district, they got it figured out how this all works. They said, you know, we've been in a coffee shop and we've been talking about this, so we understand that the Secretary's from Georgia, and so if you have cotton and peanuts, you're going to get 150 bucks an acre. And if you're from Stearns County, you're going to get $41. And the reason is because, you know, he's taking care of his people, and you're a Democrat, and we voted for you, and so we're getting $41. So that's their take on how this works. But that is not how they did it. But if you look at the map, my district got the most money out of the facilitation payments of any congressional district in the country. You know, so that's helped us out a lot. I mean, without those payments, we would be in the tank big time. And we'd have people being bankrupt, we'd have loans not being made at the bank, it'd be a big mess. So I have not criticized this, you know, even though I might have done it different, but the money needed to go out there, it needed to be done. And now the question is, are they going to do a third one? The Secretary said Wednesday, in his opinion, he's against it. He thinks the trade stuff's going to come around. He said that the likelihood of that is less than 10%, that there would be another payment. So I don't know, you know, who knows. But the President said he's going to make one. So who do you think is going to win? Probably the President. So we'll see what happens. There's some talk that there might be a payment in October, which would be a kind of a good time given what's going on in November, but we'll see what happens.
Mr. Chairman, thank you for your service to all the people of the 7th District. I guess my question would be, how many years in Congress generally does it take to become chairman of a committee, and what powers does that give you?
Well, it depends on what committee it is. It took me 17 years to become chairman of the Ag Committee. And that wouldn't have happened if I wouldn't have been lucky, where the two other people that were ahead of me ended up having some problems and getting defeated. So I would say, it depends on what the committee it is, but I mean, like on the Small Business Committee, which does not have much jurisdiction, you might be able to be chairman in 10, 12 years. Or the Ways and Means Committee, which is one of the more powerful, or Appropriation, you're probably talking 30 years, you know, before you can become chairman. So it takes a long time. And then you can't, in the old days it was seniority. So in the old days, if you were there the longest, you were the chairman. That's how it was. But that's not how it is anymore. Now you have a steering committee that's made up of 30, 40 people. And you have to go before them and tell them what you're going to do. And they can ask you questions about what you've done if you've been chairman. And then they vote whether to allow you to be chairman or not. And then that has to be approved by the entire caucus. You know, so again, this is why it's important that you work with people from the urban areas and that have different interests than we do out here in the 7th District. That's what you have to do. And I'm proud to say that some of my best friends are in the Black Caucus, the Hispanic Caucus, you know, the Women's Caucus. I work with those folks because that's what you have to do your job. And so I told the secretary, he says he was getting beat up over these payments, and he said, well, the district of the chairman's got the most money of anybody in the country. And I said, yeah, I'm just doing my job, I said.